wine is loved for its abundant flavors and aromas. There is someone who perseveres to popularize wine with its intriguing stories. Sarah Sugyong is paving a new path in wine with a unique occupation known as a wine curator. So let us learn in depth about wine, the occupation of a wine curator, and Sarah Sugyong on Heart to Heart. Joining us today on Heart to Heart is a wine curator, Sarah Sugyong Ongrie, who is also the founder and CEO of a wine curation startup called Sudavi. Hello, and thank you for joining us today.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Would you like to say hello to our viewers that are watching?
Yes, so my name is Sarah Sugyong. I'm the CEO and founder of Sudavi, a wine curation startup. I started it about a year ago. Today is actually our 1-year anniversary.
Oh,
so
congratulations.
Thank you.
So you're here with us on Heart to Heart.
That's right.
On your 1-year
On our 1-year anniversary.
Yes.
And this is a dress that I actually wore a year ago.
Really?
Yeah, my first event.
Are you going to
So
keep it for many more years? And wear it on
maybe
the
once a year,
anniversary?
right? Got to repeat the tradition.
Yes. I've got so much to learn about wine, but I'd first of all like to begin by asking you about the term wine curator. What is a wine curator? Is there a difference between a sommelier and a curator? A wine
Yes,
curator?
definitely. So I'm not a sommelier. So I didn't study wines, academically.
Okay.
It's not a career per se. I am from Bordeaux, France, Bordeaux, and I just kind of grew up with wineries and grapes and surrounded by winemakers. So that's really where I got all the knowledge and passion, for wine. Usually say it's storytelling at the end of the day. But it's kind of like a curator at a museum,
Right.
They do research, right? They collect the artwork, and then after that they explain it, right? And so I see myself the same way. I research, I collect, and I present wine stories to people.
Okay.
And I think that's what curation is.
A wine storyteller. Could you perhaps tell us about the primary job or the primary tasks of a wine curator?
What we do at Sudavi mostly is we consult. We have corporate clients and government clients. They do so many events and receptions and
Yes.
dinners, and there are certain values and stories that they want to share, right? We create the wine that can align, that can match with that storytelling, so it can really enhance the entire ambiance and the story of the event. We also recently launched a wine subscription service, which is fairly new in Korea, right? It's getting wine delivered to your own home. We do a consulting session, and I figure out what you like. And then based on that, I send you the wines directly to your house. So that's also curation.
A lot of people are, that have that interest. They want to learn about wine.
Right.
I think a lot of people are actually afraid because they don't know where to start.
Right,
Yeah.
right. There's so many different kinds.
I know.
Like, what do I start with?
Exactly. So I'm sure you had to do a lot of studying. Of course, you obviously study a lot of wines. You study all you can about wines, but you
Right.
had to do a lot of studying. Find out about this company,
Yes.
perhaps the history of the company.
Absolutely.
It's a lot of preparation.
A lot of preparation, a lot of reading.
Yes.
And creativity for sure. I can obviously read the website and have an understanding of the company's history and values. But then how do I take that and align it with wines, right? And how do I make the message smooth, not artificially made up,
Yeah.
That made sense, but also I think what's really important is how to connect with the audience, right? How does the audience, when they taste the wine, when they're hearing me talk about the pairing,
Yes.
is that going to impact them, right? And that's really what I focus on when I prepare.
I mean, there are tons and tons of different types of wines. I guess winemaking styles, as well as varieties of grapes.
Right. When you look at wine, for me, it's like looking at a person. You meet the person the first time, like we met today.
Yes.
And sure, I don't know anything about you, right? You don't know anything about me. We get to know each other.
Right.
And I think that's the same thing with wine. That first sip that you have, you barely get to know the wine, right? And you're going to judge it. You're going to say, ooh, I smell this, I sense this, which is fine too. But that changes.
That changes.
Right? The more sips you have, or maybe you tried it 2016, next time you try 2015, you're like, oh, wow, this is almost like a different wine.
Right.
And I think we have that with people too, right? The more you encounter that person, the more, like the deeper you get.
Yes.
And that was their kind of values when they talked about wine to me. And that's what I fell in love with. And I'm trying to bring that culture here in Korea too.
Since you're comparing it to getting to know a person, sometimes you may meet someone and then like that person for many reasons. But the more you meet that person or spend
may
time
not
with him or
want-
her, right, you may say, oh,
That
maybe
does
not.
happen.
Does happen with wine as well.
Absolutely.
I mean, the tastes and, of course, the styles of wines have changed over the years. So I want to ask you about the global wine trends. I mean, what is the trend these days?
Right, that's a really good question. So, I mean, you have the regular numbers of, the biggest kind of wine producer right now is either Italy or France. Just goes back and forth. Right now, I think it's Italy. And the biggest exporter right now is Spain.
Oh,
Organic wine is
Organic
definitely on
wine.
the rise. And I think it's the global trend on organic food in general.
Yeah.
People wanting to be healthy, wanting to know where it's from, right? So that's definitely a trend. And something really fun that I'm kind of into nowadays is Chinese wine.
Chinese wine.
Yes.
Wine, but Chinese wine, or are we
Yes.
talking about? I mean, because there's rice wine, for example. But
Right,
we're
more
talking
like
about
grapes wine. I like to really go to the wineries and see how they're doing it because, I mean, some of the wines, it's imported from Europe and they're just blended.
I see.
But these wines were actually made in China, right? So they grow the grapes, they do the fermentation, the aging, everything is done in China, and they bottle it. And I was really pleasantly surprised.
I'd like to try some Chinese wine myself.
Up and coming, Chinese wine.
All right, so we're talking about the global wine trends, including the Chinese wines.
Right.
Now let's get to the wine that you recently launched.
Pomi wine, it's called Pomi. So in Korean, Pomi is 봄의 아이, which means born in spring.
Ah, I see.
And the reason why I called it born in spring is, so it's a message of hope for peace. So in April, right, there was a South-North Korean summit.
Yes.
And me having studied political science, international relations, that I kind of put that hat on. I was like, you know what, how do I record this really special moment, this peace process, whichever direction it ends up going, and that's creation, And so, so I did a lot of research. I wanted to figure out, I wanted the perfect wine for this. And then the summit happened. I was like, oh my God, I need to rush. And I found this beautiful wine from Moselle, Germany. So Moselle is a region between France and Germany. The most famous Rieslings are from Moselle.
Oh, is that right?
And what's really special about this winery is that it's run by the German Red Cross. And you would never think a Red Cross
And there's that connection, yes.
would have a winery, right? It's the only
Right.
one in the world. And what happened is before Germany reunified, there were two Red Cross, Eastern and Western Red Cross. And the two came together. And when they did, they started operating this winery. So Pomi is from there. And I just thought it was so meaningful, and that's something that's not controversial in any way either, right? It's peace. How do I bring that message of peace to Korea? And it was
Right.
just perfect. So talked to the winemaker, made a deal. I told them, hey, I want to market this wine with this specific message in Korea. And they were actually really excited because I never actually thought their story could be curated in this way, could be told in this way. And so big supporters, they love what we're doing right now in Korea. And
Wonderful. Wow.
yeah.
Now, you have mentioned just before that you majored in political science.
Yes.
And you worked in that field in the political arena for several years. But then again, boom, you decide to, I guess, quit your job. What prompted you to make that change?
Right. What was so interesting is whenever I would go to diplomatic events, there was always wine. And not just whatever wine. It was a wine with a specific story that aligned with that specific
I see.
situation or event. And then the more I did that, people started asking me, hey, can you actually do a quick introduction of the wine before we get started?
How fun.
And I was like, yeah, sure, I'd love to. And so casually, on the side, I would do that.
see.
And I was like, wow, it's amazing how wine can open up a platform on which people can discuss really sensitive issues, policy issues especially. And so that kind of that got me thinking. And I always wanted to have my own business. And I got a little bored of the conservative. I wanted something that's a bit more creative. And just naturally, I lean towards something that, that I always loved, actually,
Yes.
right? Wine.
I mean, for you, wine was easy from the start. But I think for most people, wine is just plain difficult.
Right.
So why do you think
Right.
people, find wine to be so difficult? Why is it so hard?
Because there's so many different kinds, first of all, right? You don't know what to choose,
Yeah.
you're afraid of missing out if you're not choosing the right one. But specifically in Korea, I'd say, I think it's harder because, well, number one, it's more expensive, right? Crazy taxes on wine in
Yes.
Korea, so automatically the price tag is kind of hefty. Second, I think when we explain wine, sommeliers or other people in the industry, they utilize words that are used in France or the States or Europe, right, in general. And that's not really relevant to Koreans. So for example, if we talk about blackcurrant, people have no idea what blackcurrant is, right? But if it's not relevant, it's not going to touch you in any way, right?
true.
So then automatically it's this foreign alcohol that's far away from me, and access is difficult. And so what I've been trying to do is, how do I use words that are more familiar to Koreans? And the best way to do it, honestly, is to listen. And I love, at my tastings or meetups, I love listening how people describe what they feel when they drink wine.
Okay.
And then some really cool words come out.
Such as, what were some of the most interesting words or unique words or words you
Right.
never imagined you'd hear from people?
Yeah, I heard doenjang, literally, like fermented beans. And I was like,
Fermented
ooh,
beans?
yeah, like when they were actually drinking wine. And I was like, okay, why not? Doenjang wine. And it was it was a
Sounds
wine
kinda
from
strange,
the
but-
Rhone region, and it's actually really tannic, and it has that heavy wood smell. That for them, it reminded them of doenjang.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, sure, why not?
Wood smell meaning like the oaky?
Oak.
Oh,
yeah.
the oak.
But a Rhone region wine can have that really interesting oak smell to
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah, I
Yes,
think I know what you
some
mean.
people don't like it. But for this person, it was doenjang. It was like, okay, great.
I guess that is the answer. Instead of
Yeah.
having someone tell you how a certain wine should taste.
Right, because there's no answer.
Right.
It's not a math question. And I love how it's really finding your own story through the wines.
Now, there are many types of wines. So could you just simply tell us about the types of wines and, the characteristics?
Right.
Yeah.
So mainly, again, there are many grape varieties, right? The types of wine, so there are 5. So you got the sparkling, right? The carbonated sparkling wine. Champagne is one of them. White wine, rosé wine, which I love, and red wine, and port wine. So the sweet, kind of strong. A lot of them are even mixed with brandy. So very different feel wine. So those are the 5 main types of wine.
Would you say that these wines taste differently? How would you describe each wine? How would you say they're different from each other?
Right. So sparkling, so it's carbonated,
Yes.
right? So that one I think it's pretty self-explanatory. But white wine is different because the texture, first of all, is different from red wine.
I
Of
see.
course, you got sweet white wine and semi-sweet and dry. But the way we ferment white wine is different. So we actually ferment white wine with juice. So only with the juice of the grape.
Ah, I see.
Right? Red wine, you actually ferment it with the juice, but also with the seeds, with the skin of the grapes, and sometimes even the stem.
Ah, I see.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I see.
So it gives that bodiness, it gives that texture that's a lot more bold. It's a lot bolder than white wines. And then port, a lot sweeter. Alcohol can be 16 degrees, so a lot. And when you mix it with brandy, it just, it's a little mix of brandy and wine.
So, well, since you are here with us in the studio, right here on Heart to Heart, I would like for you to give us some tips on how to enjoy wine. You know, maybe tell us about the way to, read the wine labels.
Right,
So
right.
we're going to have a table ready with some wine.
Oh,
so,
great.
Yes,
Okay.
let's do it.
My wines, right?
Yes, your wine.
Okay, great.
Okay, so we're going to learn all about wine and the ways to enjoy wine. You've brought with you 3 bottles of wine.
Yes.
So, okay, tell us all about it.
Right. So we got a sparkling wine from Burgundy, France. We have another French wine, a mix of 2 varieties, so blended wine, and private brand, Pommy wine,
Pommy
that we talked
wine.
about earlier, our Hope for Peace wine. But before that, maybe we can take a quick look at the label.
Yes.
Okay. This one is Paul de Coste. Paul de Coste, which is the name of the winemaker, actually.
Okay.
And then right below, you see Brut, B-R-U-T.
Which means?
Dry in French. So if you don't like sweet, then this would be the wine.
That's very easy.
Very
Too
easy.
simple.
Very easy. And this one, also pretty simple label, I'd say. It's a Terra Occitana, French. Terra Occitana is actually just the name of the collection of the wines. So there are about 4 to 5 in this collection. And it's because in southern France, Occitana is actually the dialect of southern France.
Oh, I see.
So they wanted to say, hey, it's actually from the land of the southern dialect in France, hence the name. And 2017, the vintage.
Yes.
Which means that's the year the grapes were harvested.
And then,
our
our pommy.
beautiful pommy, lotus flower.
Oh, wow.
You know, when you look at it, it almost looks like a 전통주, right? Traditional Korean
Exactly.
alcohol. And then we have, and vintage is 2014.
Okay.
So,
Oh, 2014.
It's been quite a few years. Okay.
All right, now what?
We should taste it, right?
Lovely. Of course. Oh, and I'd also like to ask, is there a way of, receiving wine?
Yes.
Yes.
If you're at a formal event and you want to be extra polite, then all you need to do is put your hand, like a little touch.
Oh, okay.
Meaning, hey, I recognize and notice that you are pouring a glass for me. Thank you. Actually, the 3 etiquettes that we
Okay.
talked
Oh,
about,
yes.
right? So you want to look at the color. Pretty simple.
Yeah.
What color do you see?
Light yellow.
Yeah, yellow. So you know, oh, it's a white grape, right? Green grape.
Yeah.
So again, it's a Chardonnay. So know that, okay. And then let's smell it.
Okay. I do sense a bit of a, sweetness.
Absolutely.
Sour.
Yeah, acidity, some
Yes.
sweetness. We can swirl a little bit. I know these are small glasses, so these are
Yes.
kind of French bistro style. So this is how we drink wine at a cafe
Okay, I
or
see.
at a just street restaurant. So I wanted to bring those for just more casual feel.
All right.
We swirl it because the wine has been trapped in a bottle for so long that you want to make sure it breathes.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
so you're airing it out basically.
all
So
right.
it's getting in touch with oxygen, and it's going to loosen up a little.
So
bit.
it brings out the flavor
Exactly.
of the wine. Okay.
So that first, when you drink it, we call that the first attack.
Oh.
Attack in French. And that first attack is going to be very different from when you sip it the second time.
All right.
Do you like it?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh.
That's the first question, right?
Okay.
The second sip, I'm going to ask you to kind of, a little different, right?
Slightly.
Because the aromas, you want to make sure the aromas really spread throughout. And this is where you kind of get the little details,
Yeah,
right?
it I don't know, it feels a lot smoother, right?
Yeah, because the first time, it's really that first attack,
Yes.
where it's like, bam, I'm here. You're drinking
I'm gonna
this.
take another
and- Shall we move on to the second one?
Yes.
Okay.
let's do it. Okay.
Okay. Oh, this is actually important. So you see Paul de Coste, right? So the name of the winemaker.
Yeah.
We talked about Brut, how it's dry. Right in between is Blanc de Blanc.
Oh, yes.
So that's something that you see a lot in sparkling wines. Now, blanc means white in French. So literally it means white of whites. So it's extra white, which means it was only made with green grapes. We're gonna try to open it. Okay, okay. So I know some people ask me, hey, is there a way we can open wine bottles without a wine opener?
Can you?
You can, but it gets really messy.
Okay.
I mean, I tried to open it with all kinds of things, but we want to make sure it's clean. So I brought my wine opener. So there's a little knife, right, that you pull out. And when you do so, actually, this is important, always pull it out right in front of you. It's not facing others.
Oh,
See?
okay.
Right, just to be polite. And grab the bottle, right, and you're just gonna twist it to open it, to open just the top part. So you're taking the hat off, basically. And then you pull out the cork, not the cork, this part, right? Target, again, the middle part, and you're just gonna push it in, right?
Oh, okay, so turn the bottle.
Turn the bottle. This is the easiest. And you're gonna hear a weird sound. Cork is a little dry. So this is the easiest part. So then we're at a point where the first lever hits the bottle, right? So you're gonna push it in.
Okay.
Then you're gonna pull out this part. Now, some people do it like this. I like it this way because it's more stable. You know what you're doing, but you keep the pressure in, right?
Okay.
All right, so we're gonna lift it. Bam. Okay, you're like,
You
all
make
right.
it look so easy.
That's halfway up. We're good.
Okay.
Now the second lever. So you're gonna bring this down, right? Push the second level. Bring it up. Oh, we're almost there. If you want a little pop, just slightly.
Hey, there we go.
There we go. Easy,
Okay.
easy.
Thank
I
you.
love that sound when you first open it. Okay, let's try it.
Not dry.
Right.
It's light, but it's very soft and smooth.
Those are good words.
Yeah. I've mentioned velvety, which describes like the
Right.
softness as well.
But if it was just gamay, it'll just kind of fly away, the finish especially. But because of the Syrah, it still has that, hey, I'm here, I'm present.
Yeah.
But it has that roundness because of the gamay. So really, you rarely see 50 gamay, 50 Syrah. It's a very rare blend.
Yes.
But this is just really well made and delicious.
Wonderful. Any other tips you want to, I guess, share before we move back to our little chairs to continue our talk?
Yeah. So the sparkling wine actually is when you open it up, it's good to just finish it. You can't uncork it or anything like
Right,
that. So that's why you drink it with several people, and you're not gonna wait until tomorrow to finish it, right? Otherwise, it's not going to be sparkly anymore.
Right.
Red wine, this one, if you drink it 15 minutes later, it may taste differently because
Better?
wine changes.
Okay.
Then it's up to you. You may like it better, or you may like it when it's right open.
Oh, all right.
So I love the changes, the wine goes through, especially with red wine. And you can leave it 2-3 days, put the cork back in, I would say 2-3 days, not in the fridge, outside.
Okay.
In room temperature. Yeah?
Wonderful. Okay.
All right.
All right.
Awesome.
That was so much fun, learning all about wine and getting the chance to actually sip a little bit of the wine.
Absolutely. Can't go without it.
Yeah. Now, you have been working as, of course, a wine curator for the past year.
Yes.
A new career. So exciting, so fun. Have you learned anything new? What are some things that you realized or learned over the past year?
Right. The wine, when you look at the wine market in Korea, it's very simple and conservative, old-fashioned. You either import wine or you sell it. There's nothing in between. Yeah, you got education, right? You got sommeliers, right? Restaurants or education, some media here and there. But there's nothing very creative. And so that's the reason why I wanted to start this company as well. And how do we talk about wine in a more fun, creative way and popularize it, right, in Korea? But what I'm learning right now is we can't have an e-commerce platform for alcohol, which is the biggest barrier. It's happening in China, Japan, all countries.
Not in Korea.
But Korea. So that's going to be the biggest homework. But would like to lead it. Yeah.
I'm so excited for you. And we're down to our very last question. I'm going to have to ask you about your future plans. What do you have planned for the future? In your
Right.
future, I don't know, 10 years later?
Yeah. So I'd like to really focus on our main service, which is subscription service called Sous de Vie Assemblage. And assemblage actually in French means to collect.
Oh, I see.
So as a curator, collect stories and share. Assemblage is the same way. And I would really love to share my love for wine. You know, give access, opportunity for people to try different wines. And I think the best way to enjoy wine is at home. You know, you don't have to always go to a restaurant. Of course, you do sometimes, right? And it's a nice ambiance or whatnot. But you can be home at the comfort of your home and enjoy, you know, so many different kinds of wine every month, and then figure out what you like and explore that way. So that's kind of the immediate future plan, I'd say. Yeah.
Okay, I want to thank you so much for coming on the show. I had
Thank
so much fun,
you.
learned
Thank
so much
you.
about wine, and I hope that our
Yes.
viewers have the chance to do that as well.
Right.
Well, good luck to you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. 감사합니다.
감사합니다.